Let's talk about the big problem. What is the problem? Well, the number of people who died from a drug overdose in 2021 was over 6 times the number back in 1999. So drug overdose deaths increased more than 16% from 2020 to 2021. Now, that was 220 people a day. We will see in the news from time to time that the opioid overdose deaths have begun to lower and decrease, which is great news. And why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that there has been somewhat of a decrease in opioid overdose deaths? Please put that in the chat. Why do you think less people are dying? So 107,500 people died from a drug overdose last year. That's what we have documented from the CDC. That's 294 people a day. Why do you think there are less in the last year than there have been in other years? Well, because of the use of Narcan. With Narcan, we've had people that have been instantaneously revived from an overdose. We had a young man who was a student, and that's right, Narcan, there we go. He had overdosed. He was on his bicycle. He drove up to a stoplight. When he started to go into the stoplight, he went down on the bicycle. He literally died right there at that intersection. The EMTs were called. They shot Narcan up his nose. He stood up, got on his bicycle, and rode away. That's just how this works today. So it shows us that there's an amazing, change in the way things are going. Now, in our treatment program and in our treatment center, we are now giving people fentanyl drug tests as well as the other 12 or 13 substances that we test for. So we have whole new systems now that we bought, fentanyl included in our drug testing. And that also makes a difference because now you know what they're using. There's a great need for a tracking of what people are doing and tracking of overdoses and improving the way we're helping people, improving prescription drug programs, of having doctors know information about people, of where they're going and what they're doing, partnering with public safety and other groups. It's so important for us to be able to communicate with each other so that when we do get a client who's taking several substances, that we know what they're taking and what their possibilities of overdose might be. Why does the human brain like opioids so much? What is it about opioids that really calls people's names? Well, here's what people are telling us. First of all, it makes my pain stop. It's a big deal. It makes the pain stop. And what they mean by that is whether it's emotional pain, physical pain, whatever that pain might be, it helps regulate it. It deals with the pain. Now, in our webinar today, I'm going to present two young ladies. They both have the first name starts with the letter T. So we have T and T. They both are going to be sharing videos with you. We've gotten full disclosure from them for an agreement to be able to share of their journeys. But they'll both tell you, well, they started out with a legitimate physical pain. Secondly, and this is something we dare not ignore, people tell you it feels good. It feels good to get high. The dopamine pleasure, the pathway, that super highway in the brain, when a person uses an opioid, it makes them feel good. I've had people tell me that using opioids, it makes them feel more effective and more. Usually, you think of when someone's using opioids, they're passed out, their eyes are closed, their head's back, they're nodding out, as we would call it. And yet we also have people that will say that it makes them feel energized and feel better, more accomplished, as if it were almost like amphetamines. They're just different reactions. A number of people tell you that it makes my bad emotions go away. It gives me a relief for a period of time that when I take a substance, an opioid, I forget the emotional pain, my history, my trauma. Those are some of the things that people tell you that they get as an advantage. Another one is it helps me postpone my responsibilities. In other words, when I use opioids, whatever drug it might be, basically they're all morphine, all heroin. It helps me to wait until tomorrow, that I don't have to get some things done today. So let's start out. This is our first young lady, and she's going to share a little bit of her story. All right, you want to share your name as we do in groups?
My name is Teresa, and I'm here for distribution charges, but also opioid addiction.
And so you want to share a little bit about your history of substance use and kind of what brought you to us?
Well, it started when I was younger. I was prescribed pain pills for a doctor. Was born with an extra vertebrae fused to my spine, and I also have partial scoliosis. I played a lot of contact sports, and as a very young adult, they prescribed me all these pain pills. This is before it became regulated, and one day my son's father, I was at work, and he had a drug problem. I had not at this point. He had sold all of my pills, and I came home to take one after work. I only would take half of what I was supposed to every day, and they were all gone, and I was crying that I was in pain. And he said, "Here, I saved one for you, but it's crushed up. Just snort it." And it was heroin, and it was just over after that. It was cheaper. It was, at the time, it was way stronger. I didn't think I needed as much, And then it just, I don't want to say it slowly progressed because it's a rabid beast. It progresses pretty quickly.
And so you went from having back pain, legitimately getting medication, to going to street drugs.
Yes, I don't want to say, almost I was in a buckle. I couldn't go to the doctor and say, "All my pills are gone, give me more." Even if I didn't do it, which I didn't, I didn't want to get my son's father in trouble, which looking back now is stupid because, why protect someone who's hurting you? And I thought I was just going to do it for the month until I got my prescription again.
So, there you see a testimony. What a brave young lady, right? But we see the testimony of how this begins. And this is what is very common for many people.